So the horror stories, I was going to use a prop, but couldn't find one, which is a box that had file folders in it. I have 12 boxes of archives for our 18 years of existence. One of those boxes, which is this big, by that big, by that big. So, you know, a typical legal file folder size. Filled, where I couldn't stuff anything else in it, of horror stories that Larry has dealt with over the last, well, up until 2012. Of invalid bishops, pedophilia, people that were, in fact, Larry had brought somebody on and broke the law for some reason and was gone the next day. I mean, there's stuff like that. It got a whole box full of that stuff. Now I can explain why that my view is a little more darker and unfortunately not as bright and cheery as it could be, because I've seen the bad side. So the one thing is the pedophilia in groups. Believe it or not, there's one independent group in Waukesha, which is within my doorstep of where I live, within 20 miles, who is a confirmed pedophilia and has 50 people following him. He's been in the news. He's on the diocesan blacklist. But there are 50 people following him. And they've interviewed him. He says, that never happened. It happened because it's documented. It's on the list that they had to release back in the early 2000s when all that scandal hit. Milwaukee, under Wheatland, who was one of the few people who spoke out against it, had a list of people. Ratzinger said, no, don't release it. He released it. What happened to Wheatland? He was asked to resign early. They're there, right in plain sight. But yet people blind to it. Invalid apostolic succession. I had an inquiry a couple months ago saying that they were interested in becoming part of our group because the priests in that group were worried that their bishop didn't have valid apostolic succession. Well, thanks for telling me. Makes it easier. While I'd be open to doing what they call subcondition ordinations, which would reestablish that valid set, that tarnishes your reputation because now you're one of those groups that just try to cover things up. We don't want that. We want clean stuff here. I don't mind people coming to me if they're valid, but when people start coming to me and asking for stuff like that, it also sends up red flags. What else are you hiding that I should not know, or that you don't want me to know? That's a scary prospect. So invalid apostolic succession, we've seen it, we've dealt with it on more than one occasion. Falsification of documents. Talked about this yesterday with the individual who brought false accusations against Archbishop Harris, where after the tribunal all was said and done, everything was cool, but I had to go deeper because there had to have been something else going on. So through my research with the Chancery Office of the individual who claimed they were ordained and the order that he claimed to be with, I got responses back in writing that says, he doesn't have valid ordination, there's no such person. Oh no, he's never been with this order. And yet I have documents saying that that individual did. So he falsified his ordination certificate, that was a Roman certificate, which if I brought to the bishop, they could hang him for it, as well as the order. They have no record of this individual. So that's another issue that's out there. People are willing to go to those lengths. Oh, the other individual about falsification. Some of our clergy know about this man. Edwin Mena Castro. Does that name ring a bell? Yeah. Larry unfortunately fell for this individual. He was from Southern California. And we, after a while, figured out that the pattern fit. That he jumped from church to church in Southern California, in the desert region, way outside of anybody's reach, so to speak. And this individual claimed to be a Jesuit. Well, we know our Jesuits keep very good records. Very, very good records. Well, it wasn't until Michael and Chris came on one of the Episcopal trips down there, started asking some questions. And Father Castro got real squirmy. We weren't invited back for the last day, but we went anyway to say goodbye. And we wouldn't go back since. Well, I got an email alert, it was 6 months ago, from the LA Times. Erwin Castro Mena arrested for falsifying being a priest and stealing money from people. He's now in jail in LA for his crimes. You have to watch out for that because there's the repercussions if it gets discovered. This individual was taking money from people to do papal trips to Philadelphia. Why would you do that? Knowing that it's coming to the US, you're going to take money and you're not going to go on a trip. People like that get bold and then brazen after a while and think they can get away with anything. Agreed. Change of doctrine midstream. We've had some groups where we've worked with and all of a sudden went from being a completely post-Vatican II church to, nah, I don't want to ordain women anymore. Oh, we're not going to do gays and lesbian ministry. Oh no, same-sex marriage is off the table. It can happen overnight. Why? It just happens. Or sometimes a bishop gets poked by somebody and decides doesn't want to have a spine anymore and just caves. Stuff like that. But that's happened. So when you get into a formal intercommunion agreement with somebody and you're not sure of whom you're dealing with, and they change their doctrine, your name's affiliated with that group, either on a website, social media, or any other means. And now the ACCUS is tied to XYZ jurisdiction, which XY jurisdiction may have pedophilia, or now isn't gay friendly, or and won't marry. You can see how things can get out of control real quick. And it's hard to pull things off the web. Very hard to pull things off the web nowadays. Things are there forever. Top-heavy jurisdictions. Father Jamie talked about this a little bit yesterday. What do I mean by that? 6 bishops, 1 priest, 2 parishes. Why do you need 6 bishops for one priest? Doesn't make any sense. Our group is large enough to have more than 1 bishop, but I don't have another one right now. We don't need another one per se. Sometimes it'd be nice, but it's not necessary. We're almost at the point where another one will make some sense, but is it really necessary? Because our history has shown that when we get our gold standard of bishops, because it's nice to have 3 within your jurisdiction, 1 presiding and 2 auxiliary or 2 diocesan and semi, split off. But as it happened to Archbishop Harms, within months, those 2 decided to go their own merry way and take half the church with them. That is one of the things that I've seen happen, is that the bishops see, ooh, there's something here, viable, I'm going to take it for myself. And they run with it. These foreign little churches. So the top-heavy jurisdictions are a red flag. Larry loved to use this term, play church. Those are the people who get all the vestments, and get all the phylactery that goes with it, gets their beautiful place set up, and just plays church. Says mass for themselves, maybe for a few select friends. That's it. Retires back to their hole in the ground for the day and doesn't go out and minister to anybody or take care of anyone but themselves. That's Middle Ages stuff. We don't do that anymore. That's not post-Vatican II. But Larry loved that term, play church. And you can spot them a mile away, because I've seen some bishops out there who have the cassock and their dalmatic and their chasuble and the gaunts, which are the big white gloves, and they just walk around like this because they have so much on. And the miters are like, the max 12 to 16 inches. Those are the ones where you're like, okay, we've got something going on here.
Their costume contest.
Oh yeah, the fiddlebacks too. Those are the ones who go back to the old Latin tradition. So if you see the ones with that look like a fiddle, that don't have really any sides to them, those are the real old vestments that the Trinity Catholics like to wear. And then questionable liturgical activities. the list for there could be huge. Larry's dealt with people in the early days who would put crystals on the altar. Consecrate not bread and wine, but other elements. He said to me, pizza once was used. Pizza. So, I mean, you spot that. You know what we're looking for. If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You know, it's simple. You know what a Catholic liturgy looks like. That's what you need to see. Even our Lutherans do what we do, especially the Alkas. So you'll see that. You won't need to ask me, is that questionable? They don't speak in English other than Spanish. It's not Vatican II either. And money-hungry grabbing bishops. I talked about that earlier. You've seen a couple of them out there who, cash cow. I'm going to grab them. I'm going to tax them to death. I need to go to Rome. I need to do this. I need to do that.